Speed beats perfection in every market because business rewards movement, not hesitation. Markets are not classrooms where you are graded on how correct you were. They are battlefields where survival goes to the fastest decision makers. Perfection creates delay, and delay creates opportunity for competitors. While one person is still refining a plan, someone else has already entered the market, tested the idea, collected feedback, adjusted, and taken the customer. Speed creates momentum, and momentum compounds faster than flawless planning ever will. Most people hide behind perfection because it feels safe. Saying "I'm not ready yet" sounds responsible, but in reality it's often fear disguised as preparation. In business, no plan survives first contact with the market. Customers don't care how perfect your spreadsheet was. They care whether you showed up with a solution when they needed it. Speed allows you to learn from real data instead of imaginary scenarios. Every fast action gives feedback, and feedback is more valuable than assumptions. Markets move quickly because technology, competition, and consumer behavior change constantly. A perfect strategy designed 6 months ago can already be outdated on launch day. Speed keeps you aligned with reality. When you move fast, you shorten the distance between idea and execution. That short distance is where adaptability lies. Businesses that win are not the ones that avoid mistakes. They are the ones that correct mistakes faster than everyone else. Speed also builds confidence. Each executed decision strengthens decision-making muscles. When leaders act quickly, teams trust direction. When leaders overanalyze, teams stall. Slow leaders create slow cultures, and slow cultures lose money. Speed sets the tempo of the organization. A fast-moving business attracts ambitious talent, repels bureaucracy, and keeps energy high. People perform better when progress is visible. Perfection is expensive. It consumes time, mental energy, and resources without generating cash flow. Speed, on the other hand, produces revenue faster. Early revenue funds improvement. Many successful businesses started with imperfect products, rough systems, and limited resources. They didn't wait for excellence, they earned it through execution. The market paid them to improve. Waiting for perfection often means running out of time or capital before launch. Speed also creates leverage. First movers shape customer expectations, control distribution channels, and lock in partnerships. Even if a competitor later builds a better product, the faster company already owns mind share and relationships. In many markets, being first or early matters more than being best. Customers default to what they already know. Speed gives you that advantage. Decision speed matters as much as execution speed. Fast decisions don't mean reckless decisions. They mean decisive decisions based on available information. Waiting for certainty is unrealistic because certainty rarely exists in business. Leaders who understand this make the best possible call with incomplete data and move forward. If the decision is wrong, they adjust. If it's right, they scale. Either way, they are ahead of those still debating. Speed also exposes weaknesses early. When you act quickly, problems surface sooner while they are still manageable. Slow execution hides issues until they become expensive crises. Early mistakes are cheaper than late ones. Speed compresses learning cycles. Every action becomes a lesson, and every lesson improves the next move. Over time, fast learners dominate slow thinkers. Perfection often comes from ego. People want to be right, not effective. They want to avoid criticism, not build results. Speed requires humility because fast action accepts the possibility of being wrong. Humility is powerful. It keeps leaders open, flexible, and responsive. The market doesn't reward pride, it rewards performance in competitive environments. Speed creates pressure on others. When you move quickly, competitors are forced to react instead of plan. You dictate the pace. That psychological edge matters. Slow competitors become defensive, cautious, and reactive. Fast businesses stay offensive. They control narratives, pricing, and innovation cycles. Speed is not just an operational advantage, it's a strategic weapon. Even at the personal level, speed compounds. Entrepreneurs who act quickly develop sharper instincts. They trust themselves more. They waste less time on mental loops and self-doubt. Action cleared confusion. The fastest way to clarity is movement. Thinking alone rarely produces answers. Execution does. Speed beats perfection because perfection is static and speed is dynamic. Business is not about creating something flawless once. It's about evolving continuously. The market rewards those who show up, adjust, and keep moving. Momentum is more valuable than mastery in the early stages. And even at scale, speed keeps businesses alive. Those who wait to be perfect usually end up watching others win with something that was simply done faster. Execution is the dividing line between people who talk about success and people who get paid for it. Ideas are everywhere, cheap and unlimited. Execution is rare, uncomfortable, and expensive. The market does not reward potential. It rewards finished actions that create value. A brilliant idea sitting in your head has zero financial worth. The moment you execute, even imperfectly, the idea enters the real world where it can generate revenue, feedback, and momentum. Most people overvalue ideas because ideas feel intelligent. Talking sounds productive. Planning feels like progress. Execution feels risky because it exposes you to judgment, rejection, and failure. That fear keeps people stuck in thinking mode. In business, thinking without acting is just procrastination dressed up as strategy. Execution forces clarity. When you act, reality responds, and that response tells you what works and what doesn't. Execution requires discipline, not inspiration. Motivation comes and goes, but systems and standards stay. Businesses that rely on motivation collapse under pressure. Businesses built on execution run even when emotions are low. That's why professionals win and amateurs struggle. Professionals execute because it's required, not because they feel like it. The market doesn't care about your mood, it cares about delivery. Ideas don't build trust, execution does. Customers trust businesses that deliver consistently. Investors trust founders who hit deadlines. Teams trust leaders who make decisions and follow through. Every executed promise compounds credibility. Every missed action erodes it. Over time, execution becomes your reputation. In business, reputation is currency. Execution also creates learning at a speed ideas never can. You can think about a problem for months and still be wrong. Execute once and you get real data. Execute again and you improve. This cycle is how businesses grow. Execution turns uncertainty into information. The fastest executors gain the clearest insight into their market because they are interacting with it, not imagining it. Many people wait until they feel confident before acting. Confidence is not a prerequisite for execution, it's a byproduct of it. Action creates confidence, not the other way around. Every executed task builds proof that you can handle pressure. Over time, that proof compounds into self-belief. People who don't execute stay insecure because they never give themselves evidence of confidence. Execution separates leaders from followers. Leaders move first, decide faster, and accept responsibility for outcomes. Followers wait for permission, validation, or perfect conditions. Business rewards leadership, not caution. When you execute, you take control of direction. When you hesitate, you surrender control to competitors who are willing to move. Execution exposes weaknesses early, which is an advantage. Poor systems, weak skills, and bad assumptions surface only when you act. If you avoid execution, those weaknesses stay hidden until they explode later at a higher cost. Early exposure allows correction while stakes are still manageable. Delayed execution magnifies problems. In business, cash flow is created by execution, not ideas. Sales happen when calls are made, offers are presented, and follow-ups are done. Operations improve when processes are implemented, not discussed. Marketing works when campaigns are launched, tested, and adjusted. Every revenue-generating activity is rooted in action. Without execution, businesses starve. Execution also builds momentum, and momentum simplifies everything. Decisions become easier. Teams move faster, opportunities appear more frequently, momentum attracts attention, partnerships, and capital. Stagnation repels them. Momentum only comes from consistent action. One executed step makes the next step easier. Over time, execution creates a force that pulls success toward you. Perfectionism is often the enemy of execution. Wanting everything to be flawless delays action and kills speed. The market doesn't need perfection, it needs solutions. Improvement can happen after launch. Businesses that win understand that version 1 exists to be replaced by version 2. Execution now beats perfection later. Execution demands accountability. Once you act, results are visible. You can't hide behind theory. This accountability sharpens performance. It forces higher standards. People who execute regularly develop thicker skin and stronger focus because they are constantly engaging with reality instead of fantasy. In the end, execution is what turns ambition into income. It's the habit of doing what needs to be done, especially when it's uncomfortable. Ideas may start the conversation, but execution finishes the deal. In business, the only ideas that matter are the ones that are executed, measured, and improved until they produce results. Most market-leading businesses did not start with revolutionary ideas. They started with ideas that were ordinary, obvious, or already done by others. What separated them from the rest was not brilliance, but execution. Execution is the force that transforms something average into something dominant. An average idea executed with speed, discipline, and consistency will outperform a brilliant idea executed slowly or inconsistently every single time. Markets reward reliability and presence, not originality alone. Average ideas are everywhere because most problems are obvious. Customers want faster service, lower cost, better convenience, clear communication, or more reliability. None of these are groundbreaking insights. Yet companies that execute these basics relentlessly become industry leaders. They focus on doing the simple things better than everyone else. Execution turns simplicity into scale. While others are chasing innovation for ego, executors are capturing market share by delivering consistently. One reason execution elevates average ideas is because customers value experience over novelty. They care less about how unique your idea sounds and more about whether it solves their problem efficiently. An average product delivered on time, supported well, and improved continuously will win loyalty. A brilliant product delivered late, poorly supported, or inconsistently will lose trust. Trust is built through execution, not imagination. Execution also compounds. Small actions done daily create massive advantages over time, making sales calls every day, improving processes weekly, training teams consistently, and tracking metrics relentlessly doesn't sound exciting, but it creates dominance. Average ideas benefit most from compounding because they are easy to implement and refine. Complex ideas often collapse under their own weight. Simplicity executed repeatedly becomes unstoppable. Another reason execution matters more than idea quality is speed to market. An average idea launched today beats a brilliant idea launched next year. Early execution provides real-world feedback. That feedback allows improvement, adaptation, and positioning before competitors even arrive. Many market leaders did not invent the concept. They executed earlier, faster, and more aggressively. First execution often matters more than first invention. Execution also creates learning loops. When you act, you learn. When you learn, you improve. When you improve, you outperform. Average ideas improve rapidly when they are tested in the market. Pricing gets refined, messaging sharpens, systems tighten, and margins increase. Without execution, ideas remain static and theoretical. With execution, even weak ideas evolve into strong businesses. Leadership plays a critical role here. Leaders who prioritize execution create cultures where action matters more than opinions. Meetings end with decisions. Deadlines are enforced. Accountability is non-negotiable. In these environments, average ideas flourish because they are supported by systems and discipline. In contrast, cultures obsessed with brainstorming and debating kill momentum. Ideas pile up, but nothing moves forward. Execution also reduces risk. While it may feel safer to wait for a perfect idea, it is actually riskier. Waiting delays revenue, learning, and positioning. Executing an average idea quickly allows you to identify problems early while the cost of correction is low. Risk is not eliminated by thinking longer. It is reduced by acting sooner and adjusting faster. Market leaders understand that customers don't compare ideas, they compare outcomes. They don't ask who had the best original thought. They ask who delivered the best result. Execution ensures that results are visible, repeatable, and scalable. It creates operational excellence, which becomes a competitive moat. Competitors can copy ideas, but they struggle to copy execution because execution is cultural, habitual, and systemic. Another overlooked factor is endurance. Average ideas often win because they are easier to sustain. They don't require constant reinvention or excessive complexity. When executed well, they allow teams to focus on refinement instead of reinvention. Over time, endurance beats brilliance. Many brilliant ideas burn bright and disappear. Average ideas executed relentlessly survive, grow, and dominate. Execution also attracts capital, talent, and partnerships. Investors don't fund ideas, they fund operators. Talented people don't join concepts, they join execution machines. Partners align with businesses that deliver consistently. Once execution is proven, resources flow toward it, amplifying growth. At that point, the original idea matters very little. The system does the heavy lifting. Finally, execution builds reputation. Reputation is earned through delivery over time. A business known for executing well becomes the default choice in the market. Customers return. Referrals increase. Pricing power improves. All of this stems from doing the basics exceptionally well over and over again. Average ideas become market leaders when execution turns consistency into trust and trust into dominance. In business, ideas start the race, but execution finishes it. The market remembers who delivered, not who imagined. Cash flow does not respond to intelligence, education, or how smart someone sounds in conversation. It responds to action. You can be the most knowledgeable person in the room, understand markets deeply, analyze trends perfectly, and still be broke if you don't act. The business world is full of intelligent people who never turned their knowledge into money because they mistook understanding for execution. Cash flow is created only when value is delivered, offers are made, decisions are taken, and systems are put into motion. Intelligence often becomes a trap because it encourages overthinking. Smart people tend to analyze every angle, anticipate every risk, and search for the optimal path before moving. In theory, this sounds responsible. In practice, it creates delay. While one person is still calculating probabilities, another is already selling, adjusting, and collecting revenue. The market doesn't reward the person who predicted the outcome most accurately. It rewards the person who showed up and participated. Action creates exposure, and exposure is what produces cash flow. Businesses generate cash through simple, repeatable actions, making offers, following up, negotiating, delivering, and improving. None of these require genius-level intelligence. They require consistency, discipline, and the willingness to engage with uncertainty. Many high earners are not the smartest people intellectually, but they are relentless executors. They make more calls, launch faster, test more ideas, and stay in motion while others stay in thought. Another reason cash flow follows action is that customers don't buy intelligence. They buy solutions. They don't care how complex your reasoning is or how many books you've read. They care whether you solve their problem now. Action puts solutions in front of customers. Intelligence without action keeps solutions trapped in your head. No matter how brilliant an idea is, it produces zero cash until it is packaged, priced, and presented to the market. Action also creates learning that intelligence alone cannot. You can study sales theory endlessly, but until you speak to customers, you don't understand objections. You can analyze pricing models, but until you test prices, you don't know what the market will tolerate. Cash flow comes from this feedback loop: act, observe, adjust, act again. This loop is inaccessible to those who remain in planning mode. Intelligence improves when it is sharpened by action, not when it replaces it. There is also a psychological component. Action builds confidence, and confidence improves performance. When you act repeatedly, you become more decisive, more persuasive, and more resilient. This directly impacts revenue-generating activities like sales, leadership, and negotiation. Intelligence without action often leads to self-doubt because nothing proves competence like results. Action produces proof. Proof produces confidence. Confidence attracts opportunities that generate cash flow. In business, speed matters. Acting quickly allows you to capitalize on timing. Markets shift, trends emerge, and customer needs change. Those who act capture early demand, build relationships, and establish presence. Those who wait miss the window. Intelligence may help you recognize opportunity, but only action allows you to exploit it. Many people correctly identify opportunities and still make no money because they never moved. Cash flow also depends on visibility. You must be seen to be paid. Action creates visibility through marketing, outreach, partnerships, and presence. Intelligence sitting quietly creates nothing. The market cannot reward what it cannot see. Businesses that act consistently stay visible. They remind customers they exist. They stay relevant. Over time, this visibility compounds into predictable cash flow. Another overlooked truth is that action tolerates imperfection. Cash flow doesn't require flawless execution. It requires sufficient execution Many profitable businesses started messy, inefficient, and unpolished. They improved because revenue allowed them to improve. Intelligence often demands perfection before launch. Action accepts imperfection and fixes it along the way. This is why action wins financially. Revenue funds refinement. Perfection demands resources you don't yet have. Action also forces prioritization. When you are executing, you quickly learn what matters and what doesn't. Non-essential tasks fall away. Revenue-generating activities rise to the top. Intelligence without action often leads to distraction, where everything feels important because nothing is being tested. Action cuts through noise. It reveals which activities move cash flow and which ones are just mental entertainment. In leadership and business building, cash flow follows leaders who act decisively. Teams move when leaders move. Investors pay attention to operators, not thinkers. Partners align with people who execute. Action signals seriousness. It signals commitment. It signals momentum. These signals attract money, talent, and opportunity. Ultimately, intelligence is a tool, not a substitute. It is meant to support action, not replace it. When intelligence becomes the excuse for waiting, planning, or overanalyzing, it blocks cash flow instead of enabling it. Action turns knowledge into leverage. Without action, intelligence is just unused potential. In business, money flows toward movement. It follows those who show up, take risks, make offers, and stay engaged with the market. Cash flow doesn't ask how smart you are. It asks what you did today that created value. Momentum is one of the most powerful forces in business, yet it is often misunderstood. Many entrepreneurs focus on planning, strategy, or ideas, believing that success comes from having the perfect blueprint. In reality, the world rewards those who move consistently and decisively. Momentum compounds faster than intelligence, luck, or even capital because it creates an environment where action breeds more action. Every step forward makes the next step easier, and every delay makes the next step harder. Businesses that understand this principle dominate because they leverage continuous movement to stay ahead of competitors. The first effect of momentum is speed. When a business is moving, decisions are faster, execution is smoother, and teams are aligned. Energy flows toward tasks that generate results rather than being wasted on indecision or debate. Momentum creates clarity. When actions produce feedback, leaders and teams know which strategies work and which do not. This allows adjustments to be made quickly rather than waiting for perfect data or conditions. A business without momentum is constantly catching up, reacting to problems instead of shaping outcomes. Momentum also influences perception. Investors, clients, and employees are drawn to businesses that are visibly moving. Success attracts attention, and attention compounds success. A company that demonstrates consistent execution appears competent, reliable, and confident. In contrast, a stagnant business appears uncertain, risky, and weak. The market rewards visibility and action more than potential. Momentum creates both. It produces results and signals them clearly to the outside world. Financially, momentum accelerates cash flow. Every executed sale, marketing campaign, or operational improvement builds on the previous one. Revenue compounds because each small win provides resources and energy for the next. Companies that maintain momentum can reinvest quickly, scale operations, and seize opportunities before competitors even notice them. Conversely, businesses that pause for perfection, debate endlessly, or hesitate miss the compounding effects of early wins. Time lost in inactivity is capital left on the table. Momentum also strengthens resilience. Every challenge faced and overcome while moving forward builds confidence and adaptability. Teams learn to respond quickly, solve problems efficiently, and take initiative without constant oversight. A company in motion develops a culture of action where employees are empowered to make decisions and execute without fear or delay. Stagnant businesses, on the other hand, cultivate fear, hesitation, and dependence, which slows response to crisis and increases vulnerability to market shifts. Another critical aspect of momentum is learning. Action generates feedback, and feedback creates improvement. When a business moves consistently, it tests ideas, markets products, and refines processes. The faster the movement, the faster the learning loop. Companies that hesitate or overanalyze often lack this insight. They may have brilliant plans, but without real-world testing, they cannot adapt, innovate, or scale effectively. Momentum accelerates knowledge acquisition, which in turn strengthens execution and results. Momentum also influences decision-making. When a company is moving, choices are easier because priorities are clear and energy is directed toward execution. Teams are aligned around immediate goals and ambiguity is reduced. This clarity prevents paralysis by analysis, a common issue in businesses obsessed with perfection or over-planning. Slow-moving businesses waste mental energy debating minor details, while momentum-driven companies spend that energy creating measurable outcomes. Psychologically, momentum generates confidence and reduces fear. Action breeds action. And seeing results reinforces the belief that success is attainable. Employees and leaders become less risk-averse because they have evidence that their decisions produce results. Stagnation, on the other hand, breeds doubt. When nothing moves, fear dominates, decisions are delayed, and opportunities slip away. Momentum combats fear by proving that movement, even imperfect, produces measurable outcomes. Momentum also compounds strategically. Early wins create leverage for negotiating deals, attracting talent, or entering markets. Partners, clients, and investors prefer to work with businesses that are already performing because momentum signals capability and reliability. Every forward step increases influence, opens doors, and provides options that stagnant businesses never see. The market rewards those who are already in motion. Importantly, momentum requires discipline and consistency. It is not random energy or chaotic action. It is deliberate, focused execution repeated daily. Businesses that maintain momentum do so through structured systems, accountability, and prioritization. Every small action contributes to a larger trajectory. Even minor daily improvements compound into significant long-term results. The alternative is drift, where inconsistent effort produces negligible results and erodes confidence over time. Finally, momentum creates a self-reinforcing cycle, produces results. Results attract resources. Resources enable further action. Confidence grows, decisions become faster, and culture strengthens. The business accelerates, and each day builds on the last. Companies without momentum cannot reach this stage because they remain trapped in hesitation, planning, or overanalysis. Momentum is the invisible engine behind market dominance. In the end, momentum is what separates businesses that survive from those that thrive. Planning, strategy, and ideas are necessary, but they are inert without movement. Success favors those who act consistently, learn continuously, and refuse to pause until results are achieved. Momentum transforms ordinary actions into extraordinary outcomes because action begets more action, and every step forward compounds advantage. In business, moving is more powerful than thinking, more profitable than waiting, and more sustainable than luck.